Hello, comic fans. This is Anthony. I got Willie Moe here with me. Friday night, AWO Comics, and we're gonna do a little video action.
All right.
And we're not gonna do a top 10 this week. We're gonna change it up. We got a request to do a comic characters explained on a figure that didn't have a real big presence in comics, but he had a real big presence in a lot of kids' lives, especially in the 60s. And we're going to talk about Captain Action, Willie Moe.
All right. I remember I used to have a Captain Action figure.
You did.
When I was little.
You did.
And we'll get more into detail in the video.
All right. And we'll be right back with that video right after this.
Woo!
Comic fans, we are back. Willie Moe with our video, and me and Willie Moe actually just got back from the movies. We went and watched.
I know, yeah.
Mortal Kombat.
This
movie.
is the shirt I bought for the movie.
Yeah.
And that movie was, I will grade it a 9 out of 10.
It was very, very good. I was surprised. Very good. I'd highly recommend it if you like action movies. It's got lots of action in it. If you're a fan of the video game. Or the Mortal Kombat series, you'll like it. It's really, really good.
It's really good.
It's really well cast, I thought, too.
Yeah, it was a good cast. It was very funny and it's serious. It's funny. I like a good movie that's comedic and serious at the same time.
Yeah, I was a fan. I didn't know if I would like it as much as I did, but I liked it more than I thought I would. So
all right.
I give it a thumbs up. So,
by rating though?
Yeah.
Rating?
I give it a 9.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we rate the same thing.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get on to Captain Action.
All right. Well, Captain Action, I got a call. This is a request from my brother Tracy, actually. He asked if we could go back and do a comic characters explained and talk about Captain Action, because I know he had an original Captain Action that was inherited by me once he outgrew it. And Captain Action, just to kind of give you a little bit of history of Captain Action that I didn't know about, and I'm going to use Wikipedia in my tablet here to kind of help me out a little bit. It was developed by Stan Weston, and he was also the same guy that did G.I. Joe. He originally did G.I. Joe, and then after that, that was the first action figure. They actually changed the name, to action figure instead of doll, just because it was made more for boys.
I mean, yeah, because doll sounds like it's for girls.
Yeah.
So you gotta make up another word.
Right.
Where did the word figure come from? What do you think?
I don't know. Just somebody don't really say, but G.I. Joe was the first modern action figure for boys. And then he took his money that he made from the G.I. Joe venture and founded his own licensing company. And he got the license for DC Comics, Marvel Comics, and King Features Syndicate, which had heroes like King Features had the Phantom, and I believe they had Lone Ranger as well, and Flash Gordon and stuff like that. So after the success of G.I. Joe, West's company, Leisure Concepts, then brought the idea of a new articulated 12-inch figure to Ideal Toys. And they were seeking, Ideal Toys was actually seeking an action figure of their own to remain competitive in the toy market, because G.I. Joe had become such a success. They were slaying the toy market at the time. So Weston proposed Captain Magic, is what he originally wanted to call it, Captain Magic. He was patterned to be a many-in-one hero who could adopt the guise of several heroes, all of whom Leisure Concepts represented in the company.
Hey, as I quote from someone from a specific movie, that name is just not my tempo.
Not my tempo, as he says from the movie Whiplash. So they changed the name to Captain Action, and they first marketed it to Ideal in 1966. And the figure itself had a rather sad and worried expression on his face. The head was strangely shaped, but it had to be because the mask of the various heroes would better stay in place over the top of the head.
Well, I have a question for you on this. Do you think that do you think they made all the superhero costumes for him, or do you think they just fit from other characters?
No, these were made specifically for Captain Action.
Aha.
Yeah, yeah. And it also featured the figure. Actually, also featured a more detailed, muscular type figure than GI Joe was. The original ideal base for the line was Captain Action came in his blue and black uniform. He had a lightning sword, just like the one you had,
Mm-hmm.
and it had a ray gun. And it was also included in the box.
I
And then
remember.
the first uniforms or action figure costumes that were made for Captain Action was Superman, Batman, the Lone Ranger, the Phantom, Flash Gordon, Captain America, Sergeant Fury, Steve Canyon, and Aquaman, with accessories, were available. And in 1967, the next wave of the costumes that came out were Spider Man, Buck Rogers, the Green Hornet, and Tonto.
Oh.
Yeah. And they also had a second Lone Ranger. The first Lone Ranger that came out featured a red and shirt because that's what the original Lone Ranger wore in the comics. And then the second Lone Ranger that came out was actually uh, the same costume that Clayton Moore wore in the Ranger series, which was actually still being aired at the time and was still very popular. So
I'm
they
going
had two
to
different Lone Ranger
I'm
costumes.
going to insert a piece of my story into this before we move on with a more detailed explanation.
Okay.
I remember when I had my my Captain Action figurine. I used to do this thing when I had my laptop. If you remember, I used to set my laptop up because it had a camera,
Mm-hmm.
and I used to have this wrestling ring,
Mm-hmm.
and I would always record
Mm-hmm.
little bits of story I would use for
Yeah,
my
I remember you
characters.
doing that.
I would take some characters and make them fit against other characters. And I think I remember one video where I took my Captain Action figure and put him up against Stone Cold Steve Austin. And my Captain Action figure won that match, if I can remember correctly. But funny enough, I had just seen that video like 3 weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
I found that video again,
I'll have to
and
watch that with you. That's actually
I
pretty cool.
don't know where it's at now.
Oh,
But
okay.
like, I found it 3 weeks ago, and I don't remember where I
Is
found
it
it.
still on your laptop?
I think, but like, I think it's.
You still got that old laptop.
Yeah, I think it's charging or something.
Well, in the second series of costumes, they also featured, and I don't remember these because I had the Spider-Man costume because, like I said, I inherited my brother's figure, and I remember getting a Spider-Man costume for Christmas one year. But the second wave of costumes also came with collectible flicker rings in each box, and Sergeant Fury was dropped from the line in the second wave. I don't really know why. It doesn't really explain that.
Well, maybe people got uninterested in it.
Those flicker rings, though, I believe are pretty cool because I believe you could put any hero on them. They all had each hero. It had you could change it to a different hero, and the hero that you change it to, that was what Captain Action was supposed to actually turn into. So in 1967, according to this, Captain Action proved popular enough to expand the line by adding a partner or sidekick and an enemy or villain. And I never had any of the sidekicks. You did have the villain.
Yeah.
When we bought the reproduction Captain
Yeah.
Action for you. But the sidekick was called Action Boy, and he came with a similar costume to Captain Action that was red, blue, and black. Separate uniform sets available for Action Boy were Robin, Superboy, and Aqualad. And Dr. Evil was the enemy that was created, a blue skinned alien with large bug eyes and an exposed brain, wearing a modified Nehru suit and sandals. And they did, for some reason, and they really missed out on an opportunity, I feel like, on this. They didn't create any villain costumes for Dr. Evil. Maybe his head just wasn't was too big to have mask on it. Reckon.
Yeah, most
But
likely.
you think about it, they could have got a Joker costume for
Yeah, they
him.
could
Then
have
you had
done
Batman and
that.
Joker. They could have had
Like,
any kind of spider, a
uh,
Rhino costume or
they could have
something.
had
Yeah,
Sandman
yeah,
costume.
yeah.
Could have been anything.
And also they started coming out with accessories that got, and I don't ever remember having any of these. My brother Tracy might could correct me on this, but I don't remember having any of these. They had a vehicle called the Silver Streak. It was 2 foot long, amphibian car with missile launchers was added to the line. It was large enough for both the captain and his sidekick.
Hmm.
Several sets meant to be used by Captain Action and his Captain Action and identity were designed for the character as well. A 4 foot working parachute came in the second doll that came out, came with it. He also had a jet mortar, a jetpack, a weapons arsenal, and several other secret weapons to add to the Action Cave, which was a special box that Captain Action came in, or actually the car came in,
Hmm.
that would convert into Captain Action's secret lair, the Action Cave. And both Captain and Dr. Evil had secret lairs which doubled as carrying cases for the figures. But now it's almost impossible to find those. They're so rare,
Yeah,
you
they're
know.
rare. I've
Yeah.
seen that.
And all of this was an attempt by IDL to build the action line and focus on Captain Action as a hero in his own right rather than just a base figure for other heroes. Uh, and then after just a couple of years, the Captain Action line declined in sales, and as a result, Ideal Toys discontinued it in 1968. Though Captain Action was produced for only 2.5 years, the character's accessories have become amongst the most fondly remembered and expensive to obtain on the collector's market action figures of the era. And it's kind of interesting because he actually was brought back, you know,
Yeah.
the first time in 1998 by a retro toy company called Playing Mantis, and it had the original costumes, the original boxes. Well, not they were repo boxes, but they looked just like the originals. And then when they brought him back again in I want to think 2011, 2012. Seemed like I don't remember how old you were when I don't even know what the company was that brought him back in those, but the boxes were not like the originals. They came in all new boxes, and they actually had some new uniforms. And if I remember right, Will, they had an Iron Man costume, I think, for the
Yeah, yeah, I think they did.
newer figures that they released as well.
Yeah, I think.
And what's interesting is getting into the comic book aspect, which is what me and my brother Tracy were actually talking about, and what got this video started is he remembered some of the comic books as well as having the figures. And also I don't think I mentioned this, but in the box of the first original Captain Action, there was also a comic book as well, a little small comic book that it came with that told about Captain Action as well.
That's neat.
And I think you can get those on eBay as well. But when they started the comic books was originally the same year that Ideal discontinued the figure, which was
Oh,
weird.
that's weird.
But DC Comics, they licensed the character from Ideal and published 5 issues of Captain Action in 1968, illustrated at first by Wally Wood and then by the great Gil Kane. The scripts were by teenage Jim Shooter, who just recently passed away, and Gil Kane. A 2006 interview with Shooter reveals how the setup interview went. Editor Mort Weisinger called him and asked if he'd like to create a new character, and Shooter said yes. And then he said, okay, well, his name's going to be Captain Action. He has an action mobile, a kid sidekick named Action Boy, a pet action panther, and a secret action headquarters. And by the way, he's also a G.I. Joe sized action figure. He went on, Superman must make an appearance in the first issue because the cover is going to feature Captain Action pushing Superman aside to take on whatever menace they concocted. And Jim Shooter just kind of drew a sigh and said, well, okay, he was very excited about it. But the storyline really had little to do with the Captain Action figure or the toy concept. because some of the heroes that Captain Action changed into weren't licensed by DC. They were
Yeah, so
licensed by Marvel or King. You know.
if I remember, he used these coins to transform into the those other superhero, or he had powers from
Yeah.
godlike beings in Greek, back in the Greek days, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Oh,
The there he had his ability to change into other characters. They dropped that idea completely, and he became to possess magical coins, just like you said. Each of which provided him with a spectacular power from a Greek, Roman, or Norse mythological god, in a similar way to the original Captain Marvel, Shazam. Captain Action was given a real name of his own, as Clive Arno, and was identified as a widowed archaeologist and museum curator, and was described as having located the coins of power in a buried city.
hey,
Action, yes,
he could transform into Norse gods, right?
yeah,
Wait a minute, Thor is a character in Marvel. He can't do that.
yeah. That's right. Well, he could transform into the powers of a Norse god, I guess. Action Boy's comic book alter ego was also Carl Arno, the son of Clive, and Doctor Evil was given a backstory as well, having been Captain Action's father-in-law, then going mad in a mishap. And the series only lasted 5 issues until July of 1969. And then they tried to bring him back in the 1980s as Mike Tiefenbacher wrote a story proposal that would have revived him, and they were going to call him Captain Triumph and Javelin in a Whatever Happened to backup that used to be featured in DC Comics Presents. But DC rejected the idea due to copyright concerns regarding the characters. And then in 2008, Moonstone actually brought him back in a new series and created a new backstory for him. Captain Action was now known as Miles Drake. He's a former Marine who discovers a cache of alien weaponry during the Vietnam War. The weapons are connected to a race of alien parasites called the Red Crawl, who have been taking over world leaders in a bid to dominate the Earth. The Red Crawl's main representative on Earth is Dr. Evil, based on the Dr. Evil character
Mm-hmm.
from the Ideal toy line. And Drake becomes an agent of Action Directorate, a secret agency outside the government and dedicated to defending Earth from the alien menace. And then the series also tells the story of a second Captain Action, Miles' rebellious son, Cole Drake, who inherits the heroic identity in the 21st century. It's revealed that the Red Crawl was never actually defeated and that the heroic protectors are actually under their control. Cole must struggle against the renewed alien menace and the rogue superhero. The stories of the original Captain Action are told in the 1960s, where the character is a costume super spy, and the identity change aspect that we got in the toy line actually shows up in Captain Action's ability to use a material called plastoderm to disguise himself as almost anyone. In the modern stories, the younger Captain Action uses the more advanced plasmaderm, which allows him not only to assume someone's likeness, but any powers they possess. Thus, Captain Action is finally able to change into other superheroes, though it only works for original characters like Savior rather than for the licensed characters like Superman, because Moonstone didn't have the rights to use any of those characters, exception being the Phantom, because Moonstone did have the rights to do the Phantom at that time. That is basically what we're talking about here. They also went on and had games for him. Of course, he was revised and as an action figure again in around 2012. And then there's also been books and novels as well. So that's basically it. The Captain Action story in a nutshell.
All right.
Pretty cool toy line. I remember it fondly as a kid, and I know my brother Tracy loved it as well. But I had all of those guys. I had GI Joes. I had Captain Actions. Had the costumes. I remember having the Batman costume. It was always funny. The Batman costume was super detailed. It had a mask and then the cowl that fit over the mask and the plastic cape that went on him, and it had the gray costume that went on him that had the insignia on it that would sometimes wear off because you played with them for so hard, you know. And
Yeah, I remember
there's a
that.
lot of those Batman costumes out there that don't even have the logo on the chest because they were stickers and they just wore off over time. But they were really, really cool. But just a great little toy. And I know you always liked your Captain Action as well when you had
Yeah,
one.
I loved it.
You
It was
still got
awesome.
it, I believe. It's up in the attic
Yeah,
somewhere.
it's up in the attic
Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah, yeah. All right. Well, you got anything else you want to talk about?
Nope, that's it for me.
All right. Well, we appreciate you guys watching and hanging with us throughout this video. It was a little long and a little windy, I guess, on my part, but we wanted to kind of give you guys a good little backstory on Captain Action, action figures, and the comic line. We appreciate you staying with us. We appreciate you watching. If you like this content, hit that subscribe button. Drop us a like and drop us a comment too. Tell us your story of Captain Action. If you had a Captain Action figure and what you liked about it, what was your favorite costume when you had one, if you did have one. Again, we appreciate everybody watching. We'll see you guys Sunday with another comic haul video. Me and Owen will be coming at you. We got some great books that came in this week. Can't wait to show them to you guys. Hope everyone has a great weekend. And as always, go Dogs. We'll see you guys next time.
Go Dogs. See ya.